way to improve our country's scientific discovery, education, cultural knowledge, healthcare, and public service? We'll get some of those answers next. Welcome to SC21 TV. I'm your host, Charla Bokikio. We are live at the SC21 TV news desk, meeting leaders in the world of high-performance computing. With me now is Chip Byers with the nation's research and education networks. Hey, Chip.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing quite well. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
It's been excellent.
Good. So let's just start off here. We hear a lot at SC21 about the nation's research and education networks. Tell me about those organizations and how you fit into that.
There's no one size that fits all. There's 37 different research and education networks, and we all serve different constituencies. We probably have at our core, higher ed, but some of us serve libraries and K-12. We connect to different national research networks, Internet 2, ESNet. We're sort of the transport that holds all this together. If you are, for instance, in the days when they were doing the Hadron Collider, they would create all sorts of data, and then different research universities were examining that data and what to do with it. And the R&E networks were who collected that information and took it to the research institutions.
Okay, excellent. So if you were to tell your grandmother what you do for a living, what would you say?
Well, I usually start with, I don't know, but Al Gore invented it. But in all seriousness,
I thought Vint Cerf invented it.
Yeah, I forgot, and I just saw him. And he's like a god. So I can't invoke his name. I'll just pin this on Al Gore.
All right.
What we do is at our very core, we're transport for moving information around. I think in the very old days, you had supercomputing centers, and different people needed to get to those supercomputing centers. And so research and education networks were how that happened.
Gotcha.
And then now with the cost and the power of high-performance computing coming down, a lot of that kind of supercomputing has moved on to campus and moved into more regional centers as well. So you've got compute, storage, you've got the people who understand how the network needs to behave to move that around efficiently. Even on a campus, you have sort of the day-to-day, how students do their homework and all that stuff. If it's not designed correctly, the research computing is competing with that. And research uses data in big gulps. And so if you're trying to do small transactional kind of things, big gulps interfere with that. So most universities, and certainly the research and education networks, have segregated that traffic into research traffic and then sort of the commodity traffic.
Have their own lane. Okay.
And those lanes behave very differently.
Yeah.
So part of what the R&E networks, they've got across the country, we have a huge collection of very experienced people who figure out how to optimize those. And then depending on what that R&E network does, who they support. If they support K-12 and libraries, community colleges, then they're also doing security work. They're doing training work. They probably have their own compute center. None of the 37 are identical, but we do have some commonalities.
Excellent. What are some of the key initiatives of the nation's Research and Education Network right now? What's happening?
Well, I think that security is a huge component now. I mean, you've seen ransomware and all these different things, and the way research computing, its security requirements are very different than commodity, and so part of that's segregation. Part of that's if you have too many firewalls or other security devices that really you need for where you have people on the network and that sort of commodity effort, that gets in the way of research computing when you're trying to move big gulps of data through. So it's a different approach.
Okay.
And you have the National Science Foundation. I think they're here. They have sponsored some key initiatives. One is FABRIC, and it's an acronym. Don't ask me what that stands for.
We'll Google it.
All right, very good. And they have a softener that goes with it. No. That is looking at a different way to construct networks so that they are more secure, that they can move even larger amounts of data. When you look at weather data, there's just we're just getting more and more data, and it has to, if you're going to consume that through this high performance computing, you need a way to move that stuff around efficiently, and it's trying to understand the best way to do that. Yes, it is.
A lot of data to move. As you attend SC21 this year through the eyes of Research and Education Network, what have been some of your key takeaways so far? I know it's early in the conference, but anything?
Well, we know our consumers pretty well, and what I'm seeing here is just, from the early days of supercomputing, things have just taken off, and there's just all kinds of new hardware, new approaches, the things that are going to make researchers' lives easier, whether they're in a university or in a company. And before, you had to kind of gauge what you were going to use on the supercomputer, because that resource was so precious. And then now, it's inexpensive, it's powerful, it's you can put it in your shop. So that's just amazing for me to walk around and see how the industry has changed in a few decades.
Are you planning on attending next year in Dallas?
That would be great. This is my first supercompute.
Is it really?
Yes, and it's only because it's in my own backyard.
Gotcha.
I am the chief technical strategist for MORENET, which is the Missouri Research and Education Network.
Okay.
So we are happy to help with this event, and I've enjoyed it very much.
Excellent. And as an in-person attendee, what do you think that you have available to you as an in-person attendee, as opposed to those that are on the virtual side of this year's hybrid conference?
So if you're attending virtually, you get to see the presentations, but you don't get to meet the people. And Research and Education Networks are not only a collection of the hardware that makes up the network, but also the people that make up the network. And for many of us who've learned over time, the technology changes, but the people and the relationships are still important, and they don't change that much. And so it is terrific for me to walk around and meet the people that are here, and that's an experience that I would probably not get if I were online.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's so important that you bring up the importance of people in this world of high performance computing, because I think it can feel a little machine-like sometimes, and I think to really remember that it's about relationships and humans that we interact with.
Right, and in theory, all this equipment is to serve the needs of the people. So
exactly, we hope that that's the case.
That's right.
And I'm seeing that it is, because everyone I've talked to has kind of articulated that thought to me.
Ah, very good.
So I love that. Anything that we missed that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so.
While I have you?
Charlie, you've been very thorough.
Well, thank you. So did you always want to be a Santa pirate when you were young?
No, I did not. This eye patch is messing with my Santa side hustle.
I know, that's just a shame. I don't think Hallmark Christmas movies are going to hire you as Santa
they'll
this year.
really have to change the format for that to happen. But when I was little, I wanted to be, my father was a fighter pilot, and I always wanted to be a pilot. And then my adapting mechanisms were so strong that they didn't realize I was colorblind till 5th grade, and you cannot, colorblindness and piloting
They do not
don't
mix.
go together.
No.
So here I am.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad that you're here.
All right.
And
Thank
it
you.
was a pleasure to talk to you very much. And I
Thank
hope
you.
you
It was
enjoy
my
the rest
pleasure.
of your week. So for the rest of you that are watching, stay tuned for the latest in high-performance computing from SC21 TV. Make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and please do plan to attend SC22 in person in Dallas next November. I'm Charla Bokikio.